Hello everyone, good evening. Welcome to Saemisch Chess Club and our regular Thursday nights with Viewer's Choice and Romantic Era games. I'm here with you in my last of three Thursday night lecture. Following next week will be Grandmaster Robert Hangoski, right? For is that right, Ben? Okay, for 3 weeks, so you can submit your games to info@stlouischessclub.org, and he will analyze your games, the ones that he finds that have the ones that they have benefits for everyone, that everybody can learn from them, that have higher educational value than others. And following that, I think there will be Grandmaster. It will be followed with Grandmaster Alex Lenderman. So both very knowledgeable, very strong grandmasters from whom you can learn a lot. Another point I want to make about the Viewer's Choice night is that if you want, I don't mind to consider any game you send, as long as you give some information about yourself and tell us what your name is. Like this one is a very interesting, not only me, the other GMs as well. This one is already very interesting, this game, but I don't know who is the player with black pieces. So he says, hey, I just watched one of Eric Rosen's lectures on your channel and felt obliged to show you this game I played. I am not a very strong player, 1400, but I am working to become stronger. Sounds good. Both your channel and Eric's have helped me to get where I am today, and he's sure to help and are sure to help me get even further. So I hope this game helps. Okay, I picked the game. It's a very interesting game, but we don't know whom we are talking to. So Mr. Dimuth. Oh, no, it's not Dimuth. He's what? BishoptoC4. All right. So, any questions before I start? Anything about? So you also can submit your games for tonight, who's here, and everyone online. So we can go over the games. It's not about you won or you lost, or there are questions about you, or there is what you consider as ridiculous blunders. You can learn from anything as long as there is something critical in the game. So I chose this game because it's a Sicilian and it's an interesting Sicilian. So e4, c5, knight f3, e6, d4. d4. This is referred to as the open Sicilian. a6 and bishop e3. Well, who plays this from white side? I played with this. Who's an e4 player here?
I'm an e4 player.
Okay. So have you faced have you faced this position before? Who has faced this position before?
I have, but I'm not sure what I exactly played, how I approached this. Maybe I approached it, I'm pretty sure I approached it like the player in the game, the person playing the game does.
I see, okay. Anybody else have seen this position before? You play that position? Okay.
Right. Bishop d3.
That's what you played. Okay, bishop d3 is your. There are many other choices here. There's knight c3 as well. There's also c4. Even move, but this one a little bit I'm not sure. So Ben, anybody tells us about this position if they have played it before? No one has played it. Okay, so this move, what can be white's plan? I mean, he just develops a piece, right? So black plays knight f6. Now we cannot play e5, right? Because queen a5, yes. So I have to defend this pawn. And white plays f3. So now I see what white wants to do. White wants to go for the English attack with knight c3, queen d2, and long castle, and then g4, g5. There's a problem here. That idea works in this move order. But now, in this position, with the queen on c7, the move d5 doesn't have so much power, does it? So that's why white's setup doesn't work in here and falls apart. So let's have a look at the game. So f3, already a mistake. Bishop e3, maybe inaccurate. I'm not sure about its inaccuracy, but already, for example, after knight f6, if you go bishop d3, for example, you can maybe play e5 followed by d5. Right, knight b3 and then d5. And black's problems are more or less solved, right? Are we good? Any questions, Ben?
No questions.
No questions, okay.
Comments, though. Plenty of comments.
All right. Any comments about the position that I can address, maybe? Nothing?
No.
All right. I hope they are good comments.
Yeah, they're fine.
All right. Queen c7. All right, this one, I'm not sure again. Queen c7, because it gives the chance to white to play the move c4. And white has what is called Marozzi bind. Who has heard of it? The Marozzi bind. What's the plan when you have Marozzi bind?
Oh, I don't know the plan. I've just heard of it. I don't.
I understand. Okay. Well, it can happen from d4 openings as well. Because when the black plays c5 and takes on d4.
I guess you just
Isn't it?
Oh, good. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
clamp down on d5. Is that?
Yeah, that's the first thing, and then. And what?
Aren't you trying to get a queenside majority?
Well, it's not exactly majority, but now this gives you extra space. That the bind is that you are not occupying center, you are controlling the center, and the control comes from the central pawn on e4 and the side pawn, the close to center pawn on c4. So white has extra space on the queen side, so he can start expanding. And with this setup, if the black's pawn is other way, if the pawn is okay, suppose here, if this pawn was here, then you had to try to use this d5 score. But now d5 score is not possible to use, so white goes with knight c3, bishop e2, castle. I'm just making some random moves. Just not random, it's just these are regular moves. And black's plan is to play this move, rook e8, and then maneuver the bishop here. White in return will play king to h1. I use a different color. This one. Bishop to g1 to reinforce. They have to watch because black's eventual plan is to play d5, and white has to prepare to play against it. And then white also wants to expand on this side. What white has to be careful is that once the bishop gets to c7, d5, if the bishop is on g4, this f4 square become critical, because the bishop can jump there to f4. So you have to be careful by placing the rook on c1. You're always prone to this skewer, right? You gotta watch that. So I changed the color for this, so you kind of will understand that. Questions? Does it make sense?
Joe Cal says, Elshan is the greatest lecturer of all time.
Oh wow, I'm flattered. Just thank you saying that. That's very kind. By the way, Joe, send your games to St. Louis Chess Club info@stlouischessclub.org, and I'm sure they will look at your games. So let's go back to the game. So here queen c7 is bad. Why? Because it gives a chance. So what are we supposed to do instead? What should have black done?
D5.
D5, yes, immediately. And if I go e5? What?
Attack the pawn, knight d7.
In knight d7, f4, your upper tempo, which is a6, your upper tempo compared to French defense, which is a6, which is not that valuable. It is valuable to some extent with b5, but it's not so much. Maybe you could start with the move e5 and then d5. Knight goes b3 or knight f5, doesn't matter, then go d5. And now this a6 pawn becomes valuable because it controls this check. Now d5 is strong. Are we good? Everybody's following? Oh, I didn't mean that move. Are we good? So e5 was probably the strongest move. Let's check. I decided I look at these games with my own intuition, not with the engine. So you see that how we can understand it. You want to give it a try to see what the engine says? Just this one instance. Where is the engine? Where's the engine? Where is the engine? I don't see the engine.
Perhaps Control 3 is a good way to do that.
It's one of these places. It's home. Okay, add keep it here. All right. I mean, just checking. Wow, somebody has analyzed this position. 1,700 people have analyzed this position. And d5 is the better move. So e5 is somehow is not that great. It's not that bad either. But okay, d5 was better then. Although
So
this one's
after D5 and E5, what's
What's-
like next?
what does white want to play next?
So when black plays D5,
d5,
and white plays
e5, knight fd7, f4, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think maybe knight c6 or it says queen b6, yeah? But then there's c3. You cannot take this pawn. Your queen will be trapped.
Yeah.
It's very, very cool. Oh, it's getting a very, very complex position here. Wow. Anyways,
Say black's not losing or something.
no, you see, it says it's unclear. Anyways, well, let's leave it there. I don't want to go so deep about this one. So queen c7, not a good move then. We give it a question mark. So either d5 or e5 was giving a good position to black already. Bishop d3, is it a good move? No. He's not fighting for d5. You have to understand that d5 is an important move. Black plays b5. Is it a good move? Is b5 a good move?
I mean, it prevents you from going to C4.
Black
But
doesn't really act when he
but I can maybe do this a4.
Yeah.
After b4, I can castle, and if he goes, let's say bishop b7, I can go c4.
Black really should have played d5 immediately, right?
Yep. And after takes d5, now black is way behind in development, so d5 doesn't work. Other than that, now this majority can become very dangerous right away, 2 against 1. And white has a great initiative here. If black doesn't take, then this pawn becomes a weakness, because this pawn is better to be here than here, right? Because it's not closer to white's camp that you can now capture it. You can kind of quarantine and capture it, right? I can go a5 and then detach the pawn from its root, right? So b5 again, not a good move, but then finally someone decides that okay, I gotta take some serious measures. Okay, here, how do you take back on e3? These moves they're all sort of waste of time, and now this is a mistake. Why? Because if I take with a queen, black must take because g7 is hanging. Black must take on e3, and now look at this. Who has a better pawn structure? Because with the queens off the board, the dynamics fizzled out already, right? There's nothing dynamic. It's all about the structure right now. And now the pawn on d7 is backwarded. It takes a long time, a lot of work to play the move d5. And even d5, it doesn't have the same power because the move f3 undermines white's king, but without the presence of the queen and the dark square bishop, what are you supposed to get out of it? Absolutely nothing. So in this moment, for example, if black plays the move castle, which is not a good move, what can white do? Now those pawns being pushed are targets, the a6 and b5. If you ask me what would you wish to do as black, let's make this move. Maybe it's a better move. I wish I could put this pawn back to b6 or put this pawn back to e6. Or b6 probably not, but I would have done this if you give me 2 moves. So I could go a4 here, and after take is forced, right? Because now I have 2 attackers on b5, right? Does it make sense? After takes, now I have a clear target here, and I have an open square for my knights, and I can push these pawns as far as I can, because I have the space to do so. Are we good? This position, in terms of evaluation, it's probably plus over minus for my level. Probably at Carlsen's level is winning already. Any comments or questions, Ben? Any questions you have, maybe, Ben? Ben doesn't have a question. Ben never asks a question, never. All right, knight c6. So knight e3 is a mistake. So this queen trade is very important. How should we have known about it? We're looking at the pawn structure. Every move, every pawn move counts. And a lot of time when you want to do a queen trade, the first thing you have to look at are 2 things. Is my king safe after the queen trade? 3 things. What is the material balance? And the third thing is the pawn structure. Number 1, king safety. Number 2, material. Number 3, pawn structure, when you want to trade the queens. So knight d3, knight c6, queen e2. You want to move the queen, this move. Freeze the square d2 for the knight. Sounds good. But what about this pin? Never stay in the pin. Queen f2. Or even you could play the move king h1. Both moves are equally good. So queen e2, bishop b7, b4. Ah, is it a good move, guys?
No.
No, can't be. You want to play a move, you want to play a4, but first thing first, look at the position. First address the very first problem you have. What's your first problem?
E3 knight is pin.
King h1. Okay? Never stay in a pin. Any questions? Ben is laughing. He's having a good time online. b4. Ben, I cannot work like this. You're just laughing. He's sitting there laughing. What's that?
No, people are nice.
People are nice?
Good choice.
All right. Castle. Knight d2. And now finally comes the move. d5. Now who is better? Clearly black, right? Again, watch out. Okay, finally the move comes. King h1. All right. Now we're good. Knight e7, unnecessary. Black should have gone forward probably. But although there's this move knight e5, maybe. All right, knight e7. It's not a bad move. Knight b3. Loses a pawn. So very important lesson for everyone. Every move, check the material balance. And when there is a conflict in the center, anywhere there is a conflict, you say, oh, that's just so primitive. But it is important. Like if you want to be a good coach, the first 200 trainings to a novice should be show them 200 positions that kids have to do the best capture, and none less than 200 positions. The best capture. So here there are 3 attackers, and the knight leaves the defense. So knight b3, d takes e4, f takes e4, knight takes e4, takes. Knight c5 and bishop c6. Now let's evaluate the position. Who is up a pawn? Black, a central pawn. 4 against 2. What's the strongest minor piece on the board?
Bishop on c6.
Bishop on c6, yes. So what could be the easiest plan for black to try to convert his huge advantage into a winning one? I'll give everyone a couple of minutes. Everyone online, also please take your time in this one. Ben is not here to take your moves right now, but I'm sure he'll be back by then. Just ruining Ben's reputation, you know.
You're saying there's a winning tactic here?
Plan, not tactic. Plan. Ben, come on. People are waiting for you.
What's happening?
Nothing. Take your time.
I got some good suggestions.
You got some suggestions? Okay. You guys have 1 more minute. Again, a plan. where the pieces are going for black. Because we're not computer, we're not playing move by move. We need to have a big scheme, the main plan, where our pieces are going. The main hassle is what? The knight on c5, right? That's what we have to deal with, right? All right, time up. So, answers.
Well, C3 is weak, you can go after that.
The knight is on c5. How do you get there?
Sorry?
The knight is on c5. This knight is sitting there, strong and powerful. He's not going anywhere. Ben, anybody else? What? You don't need to go after anything further. You have a serious majority in the center and the king side, right? If you just can mobilize that majority, that should be winning. That should be enough to win a game, right? If you can go f5, f4, e4, and then you go f3, this black is about to checkmate the king, right? If you can open up that diagonal, right? Is that correct? That's a lot of work, isn't it? So, for example, here white played the move queen c2. Ben, any comments online? No comments?
Well, black, in a lot of suggestions, one commenter said that they would like to build a battery on the a8, h1 diagonal.
Followed by what?
Unclear. Another plan was to move the knight to d5, maybe trade off those knights, and eventually settle the bishop on c4.
All right. Not this bishop on c4. Doesn't do anything. Doesn't do anything. The bishop should stay on the diagonal. So the winning plan. Okay, I looked at this position for 2 minutes before the class. I looked at many positions, but I tried to just bring my own heuristics, not computer analysis. Okay. So when I look at the position, I see that knight on c5 is a problem. My advantage is the diagonal, the bishop on the long diagonal, right, and my central majority and the extra pawn. Can we agree, first of all, that any end game, as long as I'm not losing the a6 pawn, is winning for black? Can we agree on that? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So, I am not afraid of trading rooks, am I? Not really, right? So after queen c2 that was played, I cannot play f5, f4. You see that? I mean, this is not a bad move. It's actually a decent move. It's controlling the move f5, f4, right? I cannot play f5. There's three pieces covering f5, whereas I have only 2 defenders for f5. Is that right? So one thing you can think of as a plan is to play rook a d8. First of all, the last piece in the game. All of these pieces are playing the last piece in the game. And then the bishop goes to a8. And now you always have to move queen c6 to build up the battery. But that's not the plan. The bishop on a8 opens this line for the queen. That is why. Because once the queen is open, it can cover this square e6, right? Are we good on that? It covers the square e6, right? Are we good? And then I gradually go g6 and f5. So I'm going to add 2 more colors here. And then my majority starts rolling. Rook d8, bishop a8, g6, f5. And all it takes to do that is to have patience. Because, for example, you have to be careful. After g6, there's knight g4. There's some tactics may pop up because of f6 is square. So you want to do those things, you have to take your time and not rush. Those who talked about trading the knights, it is okay to trade the knights because it undermines the g2 square. So trading one pair of knights is fine. The problem is what do you do about the knight on c5 later? So if you trade the knights, you have to make sure your majority can steamroll, can go further forward. Okay? So queen c2, and here you see black tried to do that without paying attention to the little tactics. And now here white missed his chance. After take, he played a4. What about this? Oh, guys, don't miss the forks. Don't miss freebies. Always take the freebies. I know Ben Feingold has his rules, but I only have one rule, really. Chess is a very difficult game to make rules for it. Just take all the freebies. Take all the freebies. And be very stingy with your pieces to give up. Have you ever played 4 players chess? Anybody have ever played that? You play that? So, you know, I when I cannot sleep, I play it sometimes. And the thing is that the main thing about strategy there's no strategy. It's so bizarre that it's just, there's no strategy. It's just a fun game. Don't trade pieces. Let them kill each other and then play with extra material. Right? When it is for all against all. If it's a team, it's another story. But just, and the thing, be stingy with your pieces and take all the freebies. Take the freebies. Okay. Don't miss a fork. So a4, bishop c4, rook f3, rook a d8. So the black settled the bishop on c4. Not necessarily the best square. Rook e1, rook e8, rook e3, b takes a4. Not the best move either. Takes. Now white's advantage has, black's advantage has substantially been decreased, but still there should be some winning chances. Very good winning chances here. Any questions, by the way? Okay. The move queen f6 was played, and then white plays c4. White shouldn't have helped the king to bishop to get there. The main problem right now is this rook wants to go aggressive for g2 square, right? That's the main problem, right? And the queen wants to come here to f2. Is that right? How to stop that? Queen 2. What should white do in this position?
Queen on the second rank.
Queen on the second rank, maybe a2. Then you always can play c4. Maybe queen to a2. Oops, sorry. Maybe first rook f. But rook f3, you know, doesn't. Rook is not generally a good defensive piece. So, in my opinion, knights are known for being a good defensive pieces, and the bishops not. More of attacking pieces. In my opinion, also queens are good defensive pieces. They have good defensive abilities, although not. They cannot cover in front of the king, but they can be on the side and cover from distance. But rooks are not the greatest defenders, in my opinion. Some better players could differ in opinion, but that's my experience. So, yes, queen c2. Well, I would have think of this move, or white should care about his defense. So white plays c4, and now it only sends the bishop to the right diagonal now. Now, after this move, black could, for example, here, this was game over, I guess. Black didn't play this. And then knight d3. Okay, that stops a little bit. This move, this, and then queen d4. I think again rook d2 is quite dangerous here. But anyways, now it's bad. And then after queen c2 here, black found this excellent move a5. Now c5 was unnecessary because c5 took away, undermined the knight's outpost. Knights always need outposts. Always find a knight, your knight's outpost, because they cannot just move around. It takes time. They're not agile, right? So you have to be very careful about that. What's that been? You have this broad smile on your face. Is that good? All right. All right. So, and then after a5, the game is pretty much decided. Well, good game, Mr. Bishop to c4. We had fun with this one. So let's get the next game. So my name is Leo. Okay. Hi, Leo. I'm 17 years old and have been playing chess. Okay, so it's his first win over against a plus 2000 rated player in a classical game. Well, congratulations, Leo. That's quite an achievement, right? Winning in a classical, and he's rated what? 1700. So there's a 400. That's a big upset, and he won a classical game. So this is a FIDE rated tournament. Good job. Good for Leo. So let's have a look at the game. Shall we? So since he won with black, I just flipped the board. d4, knight f6, c4, g6, knight c3, bishop g7. King's Indian. Who plays King's Indian? You play king somehow?
Not as much anymore.
Okay. Now tell me, guys, What's the biggest setback in King's Indian as a player who plays King's Indian? You don't have enough of what?
Space.
You don't have enough space. That's the problem. So the opening has one fundamental problem, that is lack of space. So you have to be very creative when you play it. d5. And white already commits to this move d5. Not my favorite move, but he plays d5. And now black played the move a5. I think it's an excellent choice. Why is it so? Let me everyone think for a minute maybe about it.
It makes it hard for him to push b4.
To push b4, that's one thing, but furthermore, what else?
It protects the knight as it goes to c5.
Yes. Now, I'm going to use this square for my knight, either this way or this way, which would put pressure on this pawn on e4.
Ginger GM had a video on this.
What's that?
Ginger
Ginger GM.
Yeah, he had a video on this.
Yeah, I actually had a chance to meet Simon. He's a very, very good, very knowledgeable, and very good at what he does. So yeah, this knight wants to get to this square c5 to put pressure on the pawn on e4. So white castles and the knight goes to a6. I actually prefer this just to keep the bishop open. Not that it matters at this moment, but I'm heading to that square. Knight e1. Actually, it gave me a lesson. It reminded me of something not very, sort of painful. So in 2004, I played this tournament in Moscow, Aeroflot B, Group B Open, and that's where I scored my last IM norm. And in my first round game, which is the only game that is not in database, I beat an older international master from Russia. And that was a very good game, showing all these ideas and plans from black side. And I don't have it, so always make sure that you keep your games, even if the ones you lose. They are your trademark or signature in the chess history. And there's always things to learn from them. So I always have this big regret. There's that one I won, and there's another one I won against Grandmaster Bologan in the Greek League in Berlin Defense. And not because of the game, but the final, there is a very nice tactical, there's a nice tactic we both missed. And he could save it, I missed the win, and always save your games, always. I learned it the hard way. Knight c5, f3. Now, white wants to do the regular stuff. So b3, a3, because a3 right away is not good, right? a3, I play a4, and then I take this square. So now your plan should be to play f5, f4, and push, or you can activate your knight by playing knight h5. I think actually this is better than what Leo played, because the knight wants to land on f4. So suppose if he goes here, I can go knight f4 now. Not that I want to take the bishop, it's just active. And if he takes, then this bishop, the bad King's Indian bishop, is now become a monster. You see that? Are we good? Ben, any questions? All right. So knight f7 still it follows a plan. That's fine. Bishop here and then f5. So the reason I like the knight on f4 first is that maybe there is something like with knight d3. Maybe with something with e takes f5, that takes and then f4. And if the knight was on h5, you could play knight takes f4 here. But now after the move e4, not that black is worse, but just it's a regular position of the King's Indian where white tries to go g3, knight g2, and try to place this knight on e3, building a blockade, and then break through with g4. A different position. So knight h5 kind of takes away the f4 idea. We can check it again together. Here, after knight h5, bishop e3, and then f5, although there's always this problem with bishop takes c5, which is not a problem, I think, here. And if takes, of course, we cannot take with the bishop because of g4, right? Doesn't work like that. So g takes f5, and then if f4, I take with the knight. And I win that strong bishop, and now white's dark squares are pretty undermined. Make sense? After this, I can start my attack like this maybe. The bishop comes to e5, f4, right? A lot of weak squares around here. Are we good? Ben, are you good? You following, Ben? Good. So, Leo played knight ft7, bishop e3, f5, a3. And here a4, exclam, good job. Now this knight has a home now because no pawn can attack it, right? And it's gonna sit here forever. The only setback is that now my rook is pinned to this pawn. But once the queen moves, my rook can move too. And the queen worth more than the rook. So as long as I'm defending against a stronger attacker, you're not losing anything in value. Does it make sense? Your rook is defending against the queen, so that's fine. If the rook was defending against a pawn or a pawn's attack or a queen's attack, then you were losing value in asset, right? Your rook is defending against 5 versus 1. But now it's 5 versus 9, so that's fine. Knight to d3, he goes b6. Now, so many may ask me, what about if he takes, and not take that pawn, Elshan? You're talking about all these things. It's all gone. What are you talking about, Elshan? And I tell you, okay, there's something cunning here, which I'm sure Leo considered. What's the cunning thing in this position? Everybody, 2 minutes. Nothing. 2 minutes. Where are you going, Ben?
There's something coming.
Cunning.
Oh, cunning.
One more minute. Ben, do we have any comments?
Rick says queen g5.
Okay. Rick says queen g5. Okay.
Abdel says queen g4 followed by bishop h3.
I think he meant queen g5 followed by bishop h6.
Probably the case.
What do the guys think in here? What do you guys think?
F takes e4, F takes e4, rook takes f1.
Bishop f1.
Should take it. What about playing f4 and locking down the position?
Okay, f4 is the move you should not play. That's the move you should not play. Because why shouldn't you play f4? Because you have what? You have a pair of bishop.
Oh, your light square or your dark square bishops would be hemmed in.
Yep. So point number one, f4 is the no move in this position. You will not and you should not and you must not play f4. Because, well, if there's a bishop on e3, f4 is good. You win a tempo and you start your attack. That's fine. Because you cannot improve your dark square bishop. But the answer is, do we have any more comment, Ben?
Atomos says knight c5. Ragnarok says f takes e4.
Knight c5?
Knight c5.
Yep, okay.
Salty Fishy suggests bishop d7. There you go.
The move is bishop h6. Now I want to, I'm eyeballing to this check and then landing on d4, which turned that bishop that kind of timidly sitting on g7, turning into a monster sitting on e3. One thing I like about this game is that it gives me the chance to show you a classical in the King's Indian attack game of Arbakov against Kasparov, which I'm going to show right after I finish this one, if we will have enough time. But now that bishop sitting on e3 is going to be a monster. Now, for example, let me make a few moves. This move, this check, and now I play f4. The bishop is out of the chain now. So if I go knight b5, I mean, I'm just making some moves just to show you how strong this can be. I go here. And now mate is coming. If I go here, queen takes h2 check. And nice mate. You see, that's all because of this guy sitting on e3. Now, we have a king on g8, but he's the king of the board. That bishop e3 is very, very important. It's very, very important. So that, because of this move is not a this is not a concern, because white cannot prevent bishop e3, because if the queen moves, the knight is hanging. You see that?
Let's say, for example, the dark square bishop didn't exist. Like somehow he traded it off. Would playing
Then you lost the pawn. Then you would have lost the pawn. Then you were down to simply down the pawn.
Oh, okay. No. I meant like in general, I guess with the king's Indian. Like if the bishop's gone and playing f4, okay, for like lockdown.
Yeah, if the both dark squares bishops are gone, then f4 is perfectly fine.
Okay.
Yeah. No, f4 is absolutely a plan. But in this case, being down a pawn and having a dark square bishop, and white not having a dark square bishop, then you really want to address the weakness of the dark squares. Any points, Ben? Any comments? Ben, you're here. Hello. He's not here.
Yeah,
Okay.
this guy's rated 17 from me.
He played really good. He played really good chess. Queen c2. Knight back to f6. I think this is a move that probably has some problems. I think he could just play much better. What's that?
No.
Here I was thinking maybe moves like knight b3, knight d4 could be a possibility. Because if he takes, we take. If knight takes here, that's fine. Now I can take on e4 and play queen g5 or bishop h6 again, right? Now this knight even cannot go back because of this pawn on d4. So that was my initial thought after I looked at this position. So knight f6, I'm not sure now, because now if I take on c3, I mean, okay, I don't lose a pawn, but I don't know. I'm not. For example, I was thinking this. He took this bishop d3 is a mistake. In my opinion, e takes f5 is necessary, and after g takes f5, f4. I'll lock it down. Because if bishop f5, I simply go for bishop d3. Will be my guess to trading this bishop. Then I create a blockade on e4, and now my bishop is bad on g7. The position is balanced because of this pawn on a4. You can take, and now you have to reroute your pieces because you take this rook on b3 and you put the pressure on this pawn on b2. But I mean, I can just go here. Again, the position is balanced. But this bishop is not going to be anywhere important, and white has targets as well. So, are we good? It's a little bit complex as a concept. So, white's move should have been e takes f5. The bishop d3 is a huge strategic mistake. Huge. Because now after f4, bishop f2, your move. So usually in King's Indian, white's pawns roll with c5, b4, weakening this. But already black have created a kind of like a block of bricks right here, right? I mean, if he plays bishop d7, I cannot move my pawns. If I play b4, there's en passant here, right? And you can push your pawns all the way here. Nothing happens. I checkmate you with g5, g4. White doesn't have enough defense over there, right? Make sense? And this move again, it's too slow. It's too slow. We cannot afford it. And now his attack is, he was trying to run away, but his attack is too strong. Actually, I'm not sure about the merit of this move, but it's interesting. I think black can afford to play this move, and I like the way he conducts his attack. He wins a tempo every single move, brings the queen to the game. Again, I'm not sure if he plays the best, but now he has a threat, knight to f4, and then, wow, he played this move, bishop h3. Leo is the man. He really played well. So g takes h3, rook here, king at g1. I'm not sure if actually now is exactly winning, but it probably is. You see, white doesn't have any defense. You see, all these guys are right here, whereas black's pieces are all over here. Does it make sense? So white is defending with 2 minor pieces. Black is attacking with 1, and this bishop can always join. So white attacks with 5 pieces. It should prevail, and it did. Well, good game from Leo. Any comments or questions from our? Okay. Now I'm going to show you that game. What was that game I mentioned? Do you remember the game? It was who against who? Arbakov against Kasparov. You don't have a Mega? There's one. Okay, you need a Mega 2019, but it works because that game played in 90s, so this one has it.
I thought I installed that.
I don't have it here.
All right.
All right. Any questions before I show the game? Ben, anyone has a question? Is everything clear? I think this was a very good game, right? This was a very... Ben? Nothing? No comments. Okay. So also, bear in mind also it's a rapid game. Arbakov was known for his ability as a blitz player. He has become Moscow's blitz champion several times. So he was back at the time he was a legendary figure. So they play this opening. It's called Saemisch in King's Indian. Castle, bishop e3, e5, and then knight e2. Knights, and then he played c6. Arbakov played queen d2. Am I looking at the right game? Knight d7, d5, cd5, cd5. Yes, this is the right game. a6. So this is a little bit different, but still we are having the same pawn structure. I'm talking about this part. So I'm just drawing something. I'm talking from this side of the board, everything around here. So a6 is playing the move b5. So knight g3, h5. Bishop d3, b5. Castle, h4. Knight e2, knight h5. a4, b4, knight a2, knight c5, and now here comes the moment. Bishop c4, not yet maybe. He took. Not a good idea. Now let's see what happens in the dark squares. What did black do? Let's everyone think it here.
King h7 to go bishop h6.
I think he played that, yeah. Knight b3, bishop h6, queen d3. You see, he doesn't care about this pawn on c5. The attack is more important now. Queen d6 is kind of stopping this. He plays this move not only to defend the pawn, because there's always queen b6, but to blockade the pawn and preparing the move bishop d7 and then rook e8 f5. So his plan is like this, because that's where his attack is. Bishop b5, c4. I realize he plays on it for the dark square. So if this happens, what happens, guys? If bishop takes c4, queen b6 check, I guess. Is that what happened? Actually, we should took. Okay, he played first king g7. This cannot be prevented. This maneuver, queen b6, bishop b3 cannot be prevented. This battery is very important because I can play rook h8 and then I play knight g3 check. We'll see how it happens. Now this knight g3 check is coming. d6, bishop is okay. Just make sure the bishop's in the game. Bishop c4, takes. Okay, he grabbed a pawn, but now this, I don't know if it was necessary. Couldn't he just go bishop e3 here? The reason is that now the knight g3 check is not as strong because knight takes, h takes, and then h3. You don't have the bishop here to sacrifice on h3. That's why he picked it up. We don't have the sacrifice. You understand? So if I go here, just takes, and h3. I don't have the means to sacrifice the second time. So he takes, rook takes, queen there, queen b5, and now he goes bishop e3, rook d7, knight g3 check. Takes, and he goes queen e6, and that's game over. Now he has the means to sacrifice. Did he resign? Yes, he resigned, I think. Let's look at it again, okay? Just from the moment. So, be very cautious to give up that dark square bishop, especially when the move f3 has been committed and black has something like f5 or h5 or something. Be very cautious about giving up that bishop. Any questions or comment, Ben, about this one?
No.
No? So let's review it again. Okay, just one more time. Bishop takes c5, he takes c5. Knight c1. So one thing I said about the one thing I mentioned about the knights, they are not that fast, but the bishop gets there very fast, right? Queen d3, queen d6, bishop b5. Probably this was a big mistake. White should have maybe moved the pieces first and then he goes c4. If he goes queen c4, of course, guys, then there's bishop e3 check. Right? And then this one, he probably continues with this. Although, I'm not sure after this, the entire idea works or not, but should be fine. Black at least has equality, although I'm not sure. Rook h8 maybe is not a good move. Maybe knight g3 check should be committed first. Let's ask the computer maybe. It's a little bit. Now it's gonna say it's 0 or black is what is winning, huh? Ah, my God. But that's the move you have to play. It says rook h8 first. It says king g7 first. He's preparing. So c4 was a little bit, but I suggest you guys to go c4. I don't know. I feel that c4 is the right move. I don't know. I feel that c4.
So what does it like about it?
I don't know why it doesn't. Well, of course, queen c4. Bishop c4 was a waste of time. Queen c4. But its depth is very low. I don't trust this evaluation. No, it should be good for black. I can't accept this. Okay, I'll say okay. It's going down. Knight g3 check now. That's more accurate. Okay, hg3 loses, right, guys? The mate is coming, right? Are we good? So knight g3, h takes g3, queen c6, queen c6. We go for the mate. Now this should be really good for black. I don't care what's his computer's evaluation. I mean, it's dropping also. It's going to 0. Black with this bishop on e3 and this file open, you cannot go wrong. So, what did we learn from Leo's game? Let's wrap it up. Let me close this, okay? And let's go to Leo's game. Where was that? What did we learn in King's Indian? The dark square matters a lot. It's dark square opening, right? Everything happens on dark square. What else? You have to be very fast with your attack. White played very slowly, and then what happened is that black's attack started rolling, and it was impossible to stop. What else? Don't play a3 if your opponent has played a5, because after a4, that knight sits on c5 forever. You can't do much about it.
The bishop should be in front of the pawn chain with the pawn.
Bishop should always be, yes, outside of the pawn chain, yes. Yes. Any questions, Ben? All good? Any questions, guys? Anything else? So that's how you should. This should be like 1/10 of the analysis you would do for your own games. You have to be critical, detailed, and spend a lot of time learning from your games. And that's how you can get better. And when you learn something, don't say, "Ah, I lost that game. I want to change my opening." Don't do that. Learn and replay it. All right, I don't have much more to say. I don't think we have time for one more game, Ben. We give it a short break and we continue with the romantic games, end games basically. All right, well, thank you.